My name is Karen Ibasco, you Mr. 2017. I'm a host, a speaker, and an image consultant. I grew up in a family where beauty wasn't so much focused on because in a CHiNOY family, it was more of career. So I grew up not knowing that I look good or I can look good. I was just focused on studies, even though that's the kind of tradition I grew up. In time, I was built with the right values. As you grow up, you would understand more of beauty and in the processes or situations that you go through in life. But values being founded in you would be the greatest foundation that your parents can ever give you. And that's how I started. Values and education were the things that were instilled in me as young as I was. I never thought that I have made that impact in my community, and I continually want to share my story and encourage other people to do the same in their own journey, because we can achieve more together and we can encourage more people to be in the path where they are called and created to be. Watch me on CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hi, my name is Chris Tan. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a life coach, and I also act, and I dabble in cryptocurrency. So growing up as a CHiNOY was a little bit challenging because I had very sinkit eyes, and I would always be made fun of because my eyes were so small. So I had a little bit of an insecurity about that growing up. I also am very moreno, so that was a weird mix, and people found that very weird and made fun of that in my school. Well, the good thing about me was I'm never really one to allow anyone to talk down on me or make fun of me. I actually looked at it as a challenge to be accepted, not just by me, but by my peers, and to look beyond the physical. This is something that I think is important to be able to get out there so that people understand that Chinoys are also Filipinos. And we are more Filipino than we are Chinese, actually, because this is where we grew up. Although we bring our Chinese culture as a part of it, our hearts are still here in the Philippines. Watch me on CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hi, I'm Valerie Tan. I've been a TV and events host for 15 years already. I'm also a content creator. I do lifestyle and travel vlogs, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm very fortunate in the fact that my parents are very supportive with my career of choice, because as a Filipino Chinese, diba, the usual stereotype is you're expected to be a doctor, an accountant, an engineer, and of course, an entrepreneur. But for us, me and my siblings, we all had different career paths, and my parents were very, very supportive of each of our choices. So they would bring me to all the auditions, and up until I was starting already and struggling to get a project on TV, they were there for me. They were truly 100% supportive and gave me 100% unconditional love and support. I'm very lucky in that aspect. It is an honor, and truly am humbled to be part of this roster, to share my story as a modern CHiNOY, and to find representation for their own stories and their own journeys. Catch me on CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart on CNN Philippines.
Hi, I'm Ian Loreños. I'm a TV director and a filmmaker. I grew up in a, you can say, typical Chinese-Filipino family. My dad was a merchant in Divisoria, and my mom was a housewife. And we all studied in a Chinese-Filipino school. I can say that my family was somehow in between traditional and modern Chinese-Filipino family. Modern in a way that they didn't force us to be the usual, study in a Chinese school, go to a business university or college and then do business. Rather, they just, instill us that not just to be a businessman, but to be a good human being. I think that was very special to me. Living in a community where all stereotypically thought to be business people. My parents taught us the values of helping, taught us the values of good reputation. I'm happy to share my story to all of you, and I'm just proud to be here and to represent the Chinoys. Watch me on CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hi, I'm Rains Mika. I'm a fashion model and I model professionally and internationally. I got into modeling when I was 15. I actually didn't expect to get into modeling. I was rather scouted by a talent agent. And when I tried it out, I think no one actually knew what was modeling. In the Chinoy community, well, I would get comments like, what is she doing? It also made me question myself, what am I doing? I was just having fun and learning from the mentors who discovered me in the talent agency. And eventually, I found a place for myself in this confusing world. I found that modeling actually made me found this group of people where I felt like I belonged to. It's really exciting because I get to share my story to everyone, to the Chinoy community, and it allows me to also learn more about myself and inspire others. And I hope a lot more of the Chinoys would get into the type of field I did in modeling. Watch me as CHiNOY TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
My name is Stan C. I am a sportscaster and a voice talent. So when I was growing up, I was bullied because of my name. I was bullied because I was bookish. I was considered a nerdy kid. And in a way, pag na-color ka na into your little box, hindi na nila ma-i-imagine na you can step out of your box. When I was being bullied, it was really people making me feel bad about myself, making me feel that I shouldn't have any self-confidence, any self-esteem. So it wasn't necessarily about like what I wanted to be or who I am. It was more of who they thought I was. My goal was to reinvent myself. So that's why I wanted to do everything I wanted to do. What I've seen in my career is that a lot of the opportunities that opened up for me was because I put myself out there and I simply asked, even if the opportunity didn't exist. One of the things I really believe in is representation. It's something that I really stood for and wanted to push for, and I'm glad that this season we're expanding beyond coverage of Chinoys inside Metro Manila. So it's great that we're hearing all these stories because it adds more diversity and more flavor into the overall picture of what being a Chinoy is.
Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart. Hashtag Beyond Borders is brought to you by Doña Maria Brown Rice, My Kind of Rice from SL Agritech. BA Securities, your trading partner in Asia Pacific. Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities.
It's really an amazing time to be a modern Chinoy because while we're holding on to the traditional Chinoy values that our parents and grandparents instilled in us, we are now open to pursuing more diverse options for us, more diverse career paths for us, whether in medicine, sports, TV, content creation, public. It's really a great time because it's a balance of the old and the new. Valerie Tan. I'm a TV and events host, content creator, and entrepreneur. I'm very fortunate in the fact that my parents are very supportive with my career of choice. Because as a Filipino Chinese, diba, the usual stereotype is you're expected to be a doctor, an accountant, an engineer, and of course, an entrepreneur. But for us, me and my siblings, we all had different career paths, and my parents were very, very supportive of each of our choices. When my parents saw that I had an inclination towards arts and public speaking and media, they were so supportive. They would bring me to all the auditions, each and every audition that I had. And up until I was starting already and struggling to get a project on TV, they were there for me. My surname is 2 words. It's Rojas Tan. So it's quite unique. So when I was starting to enter theater, enter mainstream media, and to audition for commercials, I dropped Tan. I just used Valerie Rojas. Because at that time, there weren't a lot of Chinese then, and to be honest, I was insecure of my background, of the way I looked, because at that time, it was really the mestizas who were on mainstream media. When I got into a TV network, my boss then said, what's your surname? I said Rojas Tan, but I'm using Rojas. And then he told me, no, use Tan. Use Valerie Tan because it's what makes you unique.
Ako po si Valerie Tan, ang inyong tagapaghatid ng kwentong Pinoy ang tibuok, iHeartTH.
It was really a light bulb moment for me that the part that I was insecure about, it was actually what makes me special and what would make me stand out.
My name is Stan C. I'm a sportscaster and a voice talent. When I got into broadcasting, yung mga aunties and uncles would often ask, so gusto mo maging Noli de Castro? You want to be on TV Patrol or whatever, right? And I didn't like being told that because at the time, I was averse towards a career in news. Syempre, I didn't know any better. I was like, oh no, I want to be a radio DJ. That's the cool thing to do. Play pop music, talk, interview celebrities and all that. I never really vocalized that I wanted to be a commentator for sports or a sportscaster until much later on. Because to me, that was yung parang suntok sa buwan talaga. I didn't really know anyone and I always associated sportscasting with TV. I came from radio where iniisip ko pa rin na you have to have a certain look to be in front of the camera. And I didn't think I was good looking at all. So I thought na I just had the face for radio, diba? Which was the stereotype for radio DJs. One of the mantras I live by is, if you never ask, the answer will always be no. What I've seen in my career is that a lot of the opportunities that opened up for me was because I put myself out there and I simply asked. So I'm a huge fan of pro wrestling, sports entertainment. And when the WWE came over to Manila in 2016, I was working with a local wrestling organization and we were trying to get our talents scouted by the WWE. So I asked for a meeting with the general manager from Asia Pacific at the time. And we met at the hotel near where the venue was at the morning after the show. And first, pinitch namin yung organization. And then after that, yung puro small talk na lang over brunch, I said na, hey, maybe you'd consider having an events host who's a fan talaga. That way, when the fans are in attendance, they can relate because they can see themselves in that person. So nagtanong lang ako, sabi ko, maybe you'd consider that. And when they started doing yung mga meet and greets dito sa Manila in 2018 and 2019, I got the call. One of the biggest stamps of approval I'd ever received was when I did my usual protocol of asking yung event directors na, is there something you'd like me to ask or something you'd like me to talk about? Do you want to screen my questions? And they said in response, no, we trust you know what to ask. We trust that you know what to say. And that told me that I'm good at my job. I'm really, really good at my job.
is Karen Nabasco. I'm Mr. 2017. I knew that entering a competition would not be easy for me because in the Philippines, half Filipinos, half Americans, half Filipinos, and half Europeans are more accepted. I guess it's because, when you're in a country that you usually see a lot of Asians, they tend to focus and love other people that look differently from them. And then I knew that I was completely Asian. I was Filipino and half Chinese. So when I entered a competition, I never questioned my background. I never questioned how I looked. I just knew that no matter what people are gonna say about me, it's okay because I knew who I was as a person. But I really became strong because I knew that Chinoys do not represent much in my industry. So people thought that it was just so easy for me to win because it was in my hometown. It was twice as hard to win because you have to make people understand that you don't win out of bias. They would always say, I think you won just because of this and that. But I would always tell him, maybe you want to look back in the competition of how I performed because it will be unquestionable for you to tell me that I just won based on bias. Opportunities can be made for you, but as long as you're not in that moment to risk it for you to accept that opportunity, it will never be yours. And that's exactly what happened to me. Opportunities started knocking on my door. And you would only know if the opportunities are for you if you risk things.
Hi, I'm Rains Mika. I'm a fashion model and I model professionally and internationally. I got into modeling when I was 15. I actually didn't expect to get into modeling. I was rather scouted by a talent agent. I was in this workshop where I wanted to improve on my confidence because I lacked in it when I was in grade school. I was then scouted by a talent agent who told me I could actually do modeling for a living. And when I tried it out, it actually paved the way to more jobs, to more editorials, to more commercials, and now I'm here. Actually, both my parents, my mom, especially my mom, she was fully supportive. On the other hand, my dad, it took a little, adjustment. He was very unsure about it because this type of profession, it's very unconventional. It's not traditional in nature. It took a while for my dad to understand what I was doing and how it made me happy. And you can't please everyone. Like sometimes our community is very conservative in nature, and I would get comments like, "What is she doing?" It also made me question myself. What am I doing? I found that modeling actually made me found this group of people where I felt like I belonged to. I'm not saying that the Chinoy community did not. But, sometimes it's nice to know there is something outside of the box.
Philippines is Mika! Congratulations, Mika!
When modeling found me, there is a need to explore, and there is an exploration of finding yourself more outside this community.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. #Beyond Borders is brought to you by Cardinal Santos Medical Center, Evergreen Cereal, AgriPro Premier Nutrition Inc., Global Diesel and GU Engineering, Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation, Ford Tractor Philippines, your long-term agriculture partner. Japan Parts Trading Center. Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities. For your copying and printing needs, it must be sharp. Chua Beng Teng. Alejandro Ko. Jimmy C. Nang Family. Enrique Chua. Lee Pue Chin. Albert Ko. Stephen Sia. Rosalina Yasay. Anson Tan. Sherwin Choi. Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart.
So growing up as a Chinoy was a little bit challenging because, I had very sinkit eyes, and I would always be made fun of because my eyes were so small. So I had a little bit of an insecurity about that growing up. And I never thought that Chinese people were that accepted in the Philippines growing up that time. Hi, my name is Chris Tan. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a life coach. The pressure on me was actually placed more by my mom because my mom was a disciplinarian. And I think that's a very typical environment that a Chinese-Filipino family goes through, where the mother is a disciplinarian, the dad is the breadwinner. So the pressure was on my mom so that I have to do well in school. That was a very important thing. I had to do well in school. I have to get into a very good university, and then I have to be a professional. The irony was she wanted all of me and my siblings to be professionals rather than entrepreneurs.
Hello, I'm Yvette Tan. I'm a writer, and I'm currently working on a game that draws on Philippine folklore. When you grow up Chinoy, you don't know you're growing up Chinoy because you kind of live in a bubble and you think this is what it is. You don't know any different. But me, myself, growing up, I didn't know it then, but I probably was depressed and had anxiety. So I wasn't a very happy child. I felt that everything I did was wrong. I was always doing something wrong. I was also the eldest daughter. It means that you can't do anything wrong. You have to be perfect, which I was not. And it's something that bothered me for a very, very long time. My choice to become a writer was not very popular because how are you going to earn money? I also got flack for my choice of topic because I'm a horror writer. I wrote because it made me feel nice. I wrote for myself. I didn't write for anyone else. And I'm just glad that people read my stuff and can relate to it and they like it. The year before my dad passed away, I won 2 palancas in the same year. So I was able to bring my mom and my dad. And my dad saw how it was set up, how everyone seemed happy, how everyone looked like they were in a good place. So after that, he said, I was worried that you might not be able to take care of yourself, but after seeing this, I think you'll be all right. And then he passed away the year after that. My mom, I think until now, wrestles with it. Like my mom is a bit more traditionally Chinoy. She worries about what people will think of us, which I understand because when you live in a community, it's important for you to stay within the bounds of this community so that they accept you. So when she does this, she really is just looking out for me. But I remember when I published my book, my first book, on the day of the launch, she asks me, why can't you write a Christian book instead? So there I get the traditional Chinese parent of not whatever you do is never enough. Whatever you do is always wrong. So I've learned to live with that. I've learned to understand that whatever my mom does comes from a place of concern and comes from a place of love. And it really is up to me to take it as it is and work around it, given that understanding.
Hi, I'm Ian Loreños. I'm a TV director and a filmmaker. Telling a Chinoy narrative was probably my primary reason why I wanted to do films. Somehow you can say it's the frustration I get when I watch stereotype characters, as Chinoys, to be portrayed as stereotypes. And I want to break that. All of my characters in my personal films are Filipino Chinese. So I try to reflect myself in all my characters, even if it's a woman character or a child, a boy. Part of them is me. I want people to see the other side of the Chinoys that they haven't seen in media and in movies or in TV. I was surprised when we did the audition for the Manopo series. Where a lot of Chinoys auditioned for the roles in the series. It's exciting to see that. Before kasi most of the talents that we got from the Chinoy community are extras lang, supporting roles. But now we got major characters, major roles. Chinoy actors that are newbies that we got for the roles, and I'm proud of that.
Hello, I'm Father Ari D, and I'm president of Xavier School. Well, in high school, again, being in a Chinese school, when people ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? Many of us had the same common answers. These days, college courses are so specialized, but at that time, maybe majority went into business management, BM, because we wanted to continue this tradition of being business people after our parents, because that's what we saw, that's what we knew. It changed during college. I went to Ateneo. It was, still a Jesuit school. We could still pursue the same goals, have the same aspirations. But then my world opened up. So other possibilities opened up for me, beyond business, beyond law. So by the time I finished college, I still finished my business degree. That was a fallback position. That was the way to respond to my parents who were complaining that I was spending too much time on outreach activities, on community work, and paano na my studies. Even in high school, it was like that. I could do all my activities as long as my grades were okay. But by the time I finished college, it was clear to me that if the Jesuits would take me, I would enter. I think traditionally in the Chinoy community, success was measured by money. If you're making a lot of money, whatever your field of business is, then you're a success. If you're able to turn a profit, you're able to build things, manufacture things, you're successful. But I think we owe it to our forebears to also acknowledge that because of their hard work, because of their measure of success, they were able to send us to good schools. They were able to provide very good education for us. And it is that education that opened up our worlds. It is that education that made us realize, hey, of course I can do what my father was doing. Of course I can earn a lot of money. But there are more possibilities. There are more opportunities now. I can go beyond this specific environment, this specific mindset. It's possible now. I think when I was growing up, there really was a Chinoy bubble, just by default. Because we were all in Chinese school, our parents were interacting with other people who were also Chinese. That was just the world that we grew up in.
It exists, and you can say I've experienced that and I've been there, you know. And what's funny about that Chinoy bowels that when you're in there, you're really not aware of us being different from the other, you know, Filipinos.
So between me and my brother, I saw a difference in the way we were and growing up. He actually speaks Mandarin and Hokkien, and he is the more respectful, more humble, more quiet between me and him. The problem was that I refused my Chinese heritage more than my brother. I never developed my Mandarin or my Hokkien, which I realized hurt me a little bit starting off in business here in the Philippines.
The turning point for me was really when I went to college, when I was no longer in a predominantly Chinese community. In fact, the Chinese were a minority in a big university. And then suddenly, people ask you questions about your language, about your culture, that was never there before because everybody was Chinoy. So a lot of questions about identity that forced me to reflect precisely on my cultural identity. So that sense of always being in between worlds, is something I felt very much. But in the Chinese community, okay, we're all Chinese. But when you're in the wider community, then you have to explain you're being Chinese, and sometimes you have to prove that you're also Filipino and that you're not any less Filipino because of your ethnic roots. So that was an awakening for me, that I valued my Chinese identity very much, even today, maybe more than most people, most Chinoys, but I also very clear, very strong that this is my country. I am Filipino.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag Beyond Borders is brought to you by Cardinal Santos Medical Center, Everbilena, PG Flex Linoleum and Maruyama Tarpaulin, Evergreen Cereal, AgriPro Premier Nutrition Inc., Global Diesel and GU Engineering, Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation, Ford Tractor Philippines, your long-term agriculture partner, Japan Parts Trading Center, Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities, Philflex Wires and Cables, Chua Beng Tang, Alejandro Ko, Jimmy C, Nung Family, Albert Ko, Stephen Sia, Rosalina Yasay, Lee Hongming. Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart.
One of the most important seeds we can plant in the hearts and minds of our young people is that of identity. Now, because we live in a very globalized world, there's so much technology, we feel so connected, but I always like to say that you don't enter the global village from a vacuum. Everybody comes from somewhere. Everybody is born into a culture, a language. So what is that for you? So for Chinoys, it is your unique Chinese-Filipino identity.
This is an important thing that I think Chinoys have, is they have this tenacity that goes beyond motivation. That I find motivation to be a weak way to drive yourself to achievement. I find discipline to be much stronger because being motivated means that you'll do something because you feel good, because you're happy, you're excited, you're inspired. But discipline is doing the things even when you don't feel like it, even when you're having a crappy day, even when you don't, you feel tired and you just want to give up. The discipline is what sets you apart.
My parents really instilled discipline in me. And it's all these years of when I was young, I would join competitions, I would have tutors. Parang never ka malate, you always have to give your best. I think all these things little things that I grew up with, it helped me who I am today.
Getting to that path to owning yourself, because in modeling sometimes we feel like a mere product. I created a branding for myself, and I guess this business mindset we got from our CHiNOY parents. When I combined that to what I do, I think it was beautiful.
I think that because I was told that I was never enough in a certain way, I had to find my own way to feel, to feel safe within myself, to feel that, okay, if I can't do this, maybe I can do something else. Being made to feel not enough made me feel that I could do whatever I want. And then combined with the CHiNOY work ethic, hard work, work over talk, that made me push to be good at what I wanted to do.
In this season of Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart, expect to see exciting new CHiNOY profilers, new modern Chinoys that break the mold, and unfiltered conversations. This is gonna be exciting!
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. #Beyond Borders was brought to you by Doña Maria Brown Rice, My Kind of Rice from SL Agritech. BA Securities, your trading partner in Asia Pacific. Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities.